Jamie Dimon says recession is likely outcome with Trump's tariff turmoil. Rob, if you have that clip, Jamie Dimon comes out and is officially using the R word, recession, being there. Do you have it, Rob?
I do.
Let me read this to you if you don't. Okay, there you go. Go for it.
And then how it affects consumer sentiment.
Sorry.
You personally expect a recession?
I am going to defer to my economists at this point, but I think probably that's a likely outcome.
Because markets, I mean, when you see a 2,000 point decline, it sort of feeds on itself, doesn't it? Because it makes you feel like you're losing money in your 401k, you're losing money in your pension. You got to cut back.
Yeah. I always remind people markets aren't always right, but sometimes they are right. And I think this time they are right because they're just pricing in uncertainty at the macro level and uncertainty at the micro level, at the actual company level. And then how it affects consumer sentiment, it's hard to tell. You know, consumers still have jobs. Wages are going up at the low end, which I think is a good thing. But if companies start cutting back, yeah, the consumer sentiment changes and business sentiment changes. You know, I think you've already seen business sentiment change a little bit. Hopefully, you know, no one's wishing for that, but you know, hopefully if there is one, it'll be short. But but I do think fixing these tariff issues and trade issues would be a good thing to do.
Benny, recession.
So let's get the terms right. So 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. Yeah, recession. All right.
Under Trump, that's the definition. Under Biden, it's not. The same
that's because that happened under
Biden.
Yeah, that happened. There's a lot of this stuff that happened under Biden. Obviously, you have these self-made billionaires that are in charge of the country, and I would say, and I just want to give a shout out. I don't know him. I've never met him, but the person who has become a rock star in all of this is Scott Bessett. Man, that guy is impressive. And everybody is now hanging on his every word. I've never seen a Treasury Secretary command so much power and also have such clarity. He spoke to the banks, and we talked about banks, and then I want to get back to the recession point. He spoke to the banks just yesterday, and Scott Bessett is sitting there giving a talk to all of the large American banks. And it's just a point that you made about large banks and conglomeration with financial services. And he said, your days are over. You had a great run. Now it's time for Main Street. Like, we're done with Wall Street. Now it's time for Main Street. The ball's on this guy to stare down the banks right here, this clip, to stare down the banks and say, this administration is not about you. We ran for the working man, and now it's time to serve them. I don't know how long this clip is, but
27 seconds.
Let's have a listen.
For too long, financial policy has served large financial institutions at the expense of smaller ones. No more. No more.
That takes a lot of guts to say that.
This administration aims to give all banks the chance to succeed, whether it's J.P. Morgan or your local mortgage and loan. It aims to get capital to Americans who need it by getting bureaucracy out of the way. For too long.
PBD is exactly what you just talked about, and people.
This was yesterday. When was that, Rob?
This was yesterday.
Yep, yesterday.
To the National Bankers Association, funded by the big banks, created wholesale by corporate banks, and so to be able to have the temerity to go in and say that, and then also his background is so impressive. And I cannot believe I'm doing this. Please don't come for me in the chat. Please, chat, don't come for me over this. But I'm telling you, like when you go into his background and see that he worked with George Soros. Scott Bessett worked with George Soros as his chief risk manager when he collapsed the British pound. When George Soros did a strategic collapse of the British government, doing it through, hear me out on this, a overinflated stock market in the UK, overvalued currency in the UK, mass immigration that was disproportionate and making the culture wobbly, and an elite class that had sold out the working class of their country. That's what the UK was in the 90s. And and Scott Bessett, our current Treasury Secretary, with George Soros, swooped in and made a fortune that couldn't be spent in 100,000 lifetimes by shorting the UK government in the pound. And this man saw the structural inefficiencies and the risks associated with the single greatest financial coup in world history, arguably. What made George Soros famous. I'm only saying that to say this. Trump is a genius, man, for bringing this guy on, for ignoring the fact that he's friends with Soros, bringing this guy on to work out these structural inefficiencies in our country so that this can't happen to us. And that's what I believe is actually happening here. Will it lead to a recession? I don't know. I'll leave that for people with much higher IQs. I went to community college. But is Scott Bessett on a warpath to create a wall around our home. And I'd like using the home analogy, the metaphor. I'm sorry, it's going to get old. But Scott Bessett is out there to reinforce against someone like Soros doing that to the American dollar and the American economy. I am 100% in favor of that. Yes, there will be pain. Yes, you'll have to exercise some demons. These are the kind of things that happen when you have a when you have demonic possession, which is what the country has right now. When you have things that are really bad and wrong with the country, you're gonna have to exercise them out. But that's what Scott Bessett is doing. And if you understand the full picture of what's happening there as he's trying to reinforce, to protect against what he did to the UK, he's doing that for us. That's amazing.
Very interesting. I didn't know that, by the way. Tom, your thoughts? Recession.
So recession, you heard what he was talking about. Jimmy Dimon was talking about sentiment. So he says the sentiment of the consumer, sentiment. He said it 3 times. Why? Because if the consumer gets worried and you're worried about tomorrow, then you don't buy incremental things that you might think are luxuries. You save. If you're worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, maybe you know, honey, we were going to take a trip and we were going to go to Orlando and we were going to go to all the theme parks and everything. What if we go to the Grand Canyon and go to the national parks and do some things like that this summer with the kids? Do something fun, but let's not spend $3,000. Let's spend $1,200 and let's save the rest of it. This is not fiction. These are the decisions that a populace that looks at all this, because most Americans are not in the stock market and they think the stock market's the economy because that's what comes screaming out of the news at them. The stock market is not the economy. The economy is Costco yesterday said it had a really good first quarter. That's the economy. The American consumer shopping at Costco. And so, and by the way, the market for, an hour and a half is going to love the Costco earnings report. It's going to go up. And so, that's what it is. So what is a recession? 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. That doesn't mean we're in the shitter. That means that the growth stops. Why does the growth stop? The sentiment stops. And then if corporate sentiment, which was mentioned by Jamie Dimon, and consumer sentiment are more conservative, hey, let's let all this tariff stuff sort out, then they buy less. That's what a recession is. It's not a depression and a collapse of all the mechanisms. It's merely 2 quarters or 6.5 quarters, if it's the Biden math, of negative GDP growth. And so I think Jamie Dimon could be correct, but I believe he's correct about one thing at the end. If there is one, it will be brief. Because I think he's also looking, and he said, I'm going to leave it to my quants, that the negotiation of all of these tariff things, Pat, where do you think it's going to be in 4 months, 6 months? It's going to be the food poisoning. We're going to be out of the bathroom, over our food poisoning, and back at work.
Yeah, I mean, out of the bathroom, Tom.
No, I'm saying it's
pretty
like
bad case of food poisoning. I don't know what you ate.
I'm saying it's a bad visual, but I'm saying
go to those restaurants. It's
the tariffs. Think of the tariffs as having a really bad cold. And you're off work for a couple of days because it's a bad cold. And now, guess what? And you're going to be back. That's what the tariffs are. It's a medicine we have to take.
Can somebody explain to me why Joe Biden wasn't hit with the R word?
Retard?
He was in this room, but that's the right question, Benny.
Which R word, Benny?
Oh, do you
I
mean-
just threw it. I threw it out
You're
there.
talking recession?
So PBD
Retard?
just goes like the Biden recession, but that did not sink in.
They changed the definition of that.
Okay.
And by the way,
so what happened there?
Yeah. Oh, they changed the definition while we were literally live on the air.
Well, I look at it a little bit.
Yeah.
I look at it a little bit different because this is kind of the conversation I was having with Brandon the other day, where he's like, you have to understand the macroeconomics and what happens with the quantitative easing, and then what happens is, I was like, well, have you started investing yet? He's like, no. I'm like, why are you so worried about the world's economy? You should be worried about your own economy. Like, and then he's like, well, I'm just waiting on the time to buy the dip. I go, you probably want to buy today. And I go, because I've seen this markets go up and down all my life since I've been in this investing world. The next day, all-time biggest increase in the stock market we've ever seen in our lifetime. It's like, did you buy it? He goes, no, I was waiting. I was like, you missed your chance. What's my point? I don't know if a recession's happening. You're saying that it might be 4 months, it might be 6 months, consecutive quarters of negative GDP. We don't know. What we do know is what you can is control the controllable. So is Jamie Dimon right? Hold on, Vinny, I know you're a financial advisor. Let me just
I know, I'm ready to drop the ball.
But
Rob,
the only
clip.
economy that you should be focusing on is your economy right now. Make sure that you're doing what you need to do to keep your job. Be inflation proof, be recession proof, be good at what you do. We talk about the fear and greed index. Rob, I sent you that, by the way. Do you know the fear greed index that we've mentioned this time? Do you know where it's at right now? Take a guess before you put it out
Happy.
there. You think people are happy?
I'm
Greedy.
Okay, people are greedy?
Well, they should be.
Go ahead, show it right now. People are in extreme fear
And whose
mode.
fault is that?
And by the way, that's at an 8 right now. Do you know the all-time low it's ever been? 2. That was during COVID on March 12th, 2020. Do you know that 2 days ago what the number was? It was at a 3. So people in America, very, very fearful right now. So what happens if you're fearful? By the way, if you want to know what the highest greed ever was? I think it was in 2012 when the fear greed index hit about 90 is when it was. So what can you do to prepare for a potential recession? Get out of debt, save that money, and invest the right way. So, Tom, you brought up a great point. Instead of maybe going to Mykonos this summer, going to Ibiza, maybe you go to the Grand Canyon to go to Lake Michigan or something like that. Instead of basically balling out.
Just go to Key West.
There you go. Instead of balling out when you get your tax refund, maybe you pump that into a Roth IRA. I don't know. Maybe you don't get a new car right now. You just fix the old one. Brace for impact, again, because we might have a recession, but forget about what's going on in the macro economy, what's going on in your economy.
And you saw the consumer price over month to month actually drop, Rob. Can you put, Rob, there's a video, and Tom has a chart that inflation cools, that actually went down 0.1%. That's 9/11.
And Costco had a good quarter. Isn't that interesting? Some data and some facts.
No, Rob, I sent you a video on Slack.
What a metaphor.
It's the March consumer price index went to 2.4.
I don't have
Oh, you didn't.
that.
did I
And
not?
while we're waiting for that to come up,
That might have been the text, Rob.
The
The
VIX
text.
today, the measure of
Sorry.
volatility, did not jump back up as people thought. It went up a little bit today, but it didn't jump back up. It's staying at 37, which is, to Adam's point about the fear and greed index, that's a sentiment. So the sentiment is actually calming on the market today, and people say that what's going on today is some profit taking because it's not America buying it. It's 10%.
Have you looked
of
at what the
people.
market is today? I have not looked.
They
Take
said
a
it
guess.
was
Where do you think it
minus
is today?
800. We saw it. Minus
Oh, it's
800.
okay.
S&P 135 down.
So
Dow
it's just
800 down.
it's like a
NASDAQ
yo-yo.
500.
It's like a
Well, no, but today they say it's profit taking pressure, and the VIX only moved 4 points.
I concur with what Tom is saying.
Okay, let's go to the next story here. next story here. One of the things I love about the team that we have here, our chief investment officer, Vincent Oshana, crushes it. Like
Thank
the
you.
amount of research his team comes up with is like.
I appreciate that.
What happens is you do so much legwork on the back end that when the podcast starts, he's just tired. He doesn't want to.
I'm exhausted. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning
others
talking
give
about
it, but
the
researching
index
inflation.
and
There you go.
the reciprocal
it's
tariffs.
incredible. We want to have 1 million people wearing the Future Looks Bright gear. So this is some of you that buy Future Looks Bright gear and the numbered ones. And some of you that go and put it on eBay. Look at this, $400, 1 out of 50, $199.
That's me on the
gray
left,
one.
man.
Can you go to the user one?
Hat number
Rob,
one.
10 grand.
Is that 1 out of 250?
Yes.
But he got the 1 out of 250? That's good for him. What's the user's name? Can we see? What is the user's name?
Rob Gargiulo.
No, it's not.
Okay, go back.
Zone
Interesting,
service.
10 grand. Go back one, Rob, to see what else is up there.
Rob, that would have been so
Okay,
funny.
go back if you can, Rob. Okay, they go lower. So that's another one numbered. Another one, the 45, 47 numbered. Keep going lower. More of them numbered that are selling.
$3,000.
Holy moly, that's a 43 out of 50. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. This one took us a while to get, and I'll explain to you why. This is the box, Valuetainment. If you ordered this hat, when you open it up, the box, right there, you see the
Nice.
Future Looks Bright in gold. And then there's a card in there from me to you. And this hat took a while to make for one specific reason. So this is a numbered out of 250, okay? And this says Future Looks Bright, and all of it is embroidered. This is not like a wing job. All of it says Future Looks Bright all around the hat. Black, sick hat that just got launched this morning, numbered out of 250 at 99.
Get on it.
First come, first serve. Just so you know how this works. These go like hotcakes. In no time, this goes. So within 30 minutes, this will be gone. But if you're one of the people that collects these numbered hats, we will not be doing this one again, specifically with this color, black and white Future Looks Bright, numbered out of 1 out of 250. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. By the way, look at this, Vinny. Even down here, like the way it is,
like if I bought one right now, so somebody's gonna get the number one right now.
whoever orders, someone's gonna get the number one. So, but anyways, that'll be in the box. With the box, the whole nine. Now, when we get the shipments with Future Looks Bright, you know what's coming in. Just to know that it's coming strictly from us. Go to vtmerch.com, place your order. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.